Here we have a 1/4 inch slip lead. Mine's a little bit on the shorter end. I think this is a 3.5 foot. They go usually up to 6. I'd recommend something in the middle of those two for when returning home, but for now, training and introducing, we're going to go with the shorter one. Basically, it's a little clasp here. It has 2 stoppers on it, and they serve 2 different purposes. The stopper that is after the O-ring is to limit the amount of correction. So if I set to here, then the leash can only compress this far. I'm going to go a little bit less than that to about here. So pretty small. And then the stopper on the opposite side of the O-ring is to prevent the leash from slipping off their neck. So you want to set it where you can apply a reasonable amount of pressure without going too far and stressing the dog out. And then with the other stopper, like I said, you want to make sure it just doesn't fall off, because not only is this used on training, but we're going to be using this on walks as well. So this is my #1 tool. I really like this brand. I just started using them. Just got it on Amazon. Hopefully that focuses, but it's Howgo. It's the All Conditions brand, so it can get wet, drag through the mud, things like that, and it's really easy to clean. It doesn't smell, and it's a 1/4 inch in thickness, which is really important. The smaller the width of the rope, the less we have to correct. It's going to be, I like to explain it like it's a higher level of communication. So if we have a surface area, they get up to like an inch, 1.25 inches. If we have a surface area that large, essentially the dog has more to pull through comfortably without being able to be redirected as easily. But if it's a smaller surface area and we fit it up high, right behind the ears, more minor movements will have a greater response from the dog and a greater effect on the dog. So if this was their head, muzzle facing my right, your left, we would want it up as high as it can go. You want it on top of the head like that. And then I would have this drop down to about here. So you're really only working with this small level of communication or correction when you're working on leash. This allows it, again, not to go too far and not to slide off. So if you press this down all the way, it should sit pretty snug on top like that. You'd want to back this off a little so you can still have, be able to apply pressure as such. But if this top one's tight, it's not really going to fall off the head, and that's what we want. We want it on top, behind the ears. I don't know if you've ever seen a dog show or dog competitions, things like that, dog showings, but they use even smaller versions of this. They look like little necklaces. They have little O-ring. So a lot of times people don't even notice them, and it looks like they're just walking their dog with nothing, and that's intentional. So it's this very, very thin thing. They'll put it around their middle finger, and they'll kind of corral the dog, and any direction they move, the dog is trained to move in the said direction. And essentially you want to think about it as applying momentary opposing pressure, momentary being the key word. So if the dog is to turn to the right, your left, camera left, you're going to want to apply opposite pressure to keep the dog in your pocket, but you're not going to want to hold this and drag the dog all the way back and have constant pressure. Constant pressure is only going to cause the dog to fight against the leash, and it's going to make them understanding leash pressure much harder. So, dog goes opposite direction, tries to pull, moves away from us. We tap more or less. I kind of use these two fingers and I tap, so then pressure is applied, dog is moved backwards, and release. Tap and release. Now I'm going to leash them up. Do an exercise that I'd recommend doing before you use this outside. I always recommend using it inside until it's conditioned. We're just going to be walking straight line and doing 2 opposite about turns at each end. I'm not going to use my clicker. I'm not going to use treats. I will once they start understanding leash pressure a little bit more, but right now it's brand new. So I'm just going to be positively reinforcing it. I'm going to be encouraging them vocally. And again, I don't need to say anything. I don't need to say any negative markers or any vocal corrections because the leash is going to speak for us. You get a pull in a certain direction, tap back in opposing direction, and release. This way, release, forward, backward, release, backward, forward, release, this way, release. So, I'll leash them up, take a couple walks up and down, show you what it looks like.